Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is cold in Nottingham today. Just come back from group and put long sleeves on because it's really cold. You wouldn't think this was the end of July. It feels more like September, October, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
It's really cold today. Right, back from group with a good result. I did say last week that ideally I needed a little gain because I was only £0.5 within the bottom of target. And I'm trying really hard now to focus on staying within target because it's where I should be. I shouldn't keep falling out of the bottom. So this week, what did I do? I had my 4 healthy extras, which I really enjoy. I had an average of 11 sins a day, which I had upped slightly. Actually had 76.5, so 76.5 sins over the week with an average of 11 a day. I walked 27.7 miles, but we didn't do any of that at speed, did we? Or particularly uphill. We've been enjoying a morning walk and an evening walk, and a total of 27.7 miles. Whereas I didn't share my mileage last week, but it was 28.5 last week. So last week I lost £1.5 pounds, and this week I've managed to gain it back. So I'm £1.5 up, which is great. It's where I needed to be. And sitting £1 under target at 9 stone 6. And I'm really pleased with that because it felt like I was in control. I knew what I was doing, and by upping my sins a little bit and looking at some of the contents of my food, which I'm going to share in a while, I was in control of getting back to where I ideally need to be. I'll move on. I'll still have my 4 healthy extras. I'll go for between 5 and 10 sins again. Maybe not as high. I mean, this week I went up to 11. Maybe I don't need to do that again because I would like to maintain, if possible, next week. And we'll see where the week takes me. Something I mentioned in last week's video were these, which is the Aunt Bessie sweet potato jackets. We actually found them in Sainsbury's, £2.10 for the pack of 2 200-gram potatoes. So they're sizable, they're nice. You can do them in the oven, you can microwave them. And we also saw them in Morrison's at £2, so it's an average sort of price for them. But I think they should be quite nice. And I like sweet potato jackets with salads. So I think I'd make a good meal or two this week. News from group. Really good group, really motivating. Big group this morning. We had some good awards. We had a half stone, a 1.5 stone, a 4.5 stone, a club 10, usual stuff. And again, I find that motivating. To see people achieving like that is so inspiring. We had a lady got to target last week and admitted to saying she relaxed this week. And she relaxed a little too much and put the full £3 on that you're allowed to go over target. She's still within target, but I think for her it was a really good learning experience, as it is for all of us. When we get to target, I believe we think we've done it, we've cracked it. I've felt a bit like that, I'll admit it, and we haven't. It's just the start of the next chapter. And one or two of us, we were talking with this lady this morning, and one or two of us were saying it's harder when you get to target. I'm not sure that harder is the right word. I think you've got to be just as much on the ball at target. Would you say that, Joe? For the way I live today?
Yeah.
You've got to be just.
Day goes by, you don't think about it.
No, you've got to be just as much on the ball at target. The only difference is you don't get the rewards. Because when you're on the losing journey, you've got the motivation of the next bit of bling, the next certificate to put on your wall. Once you're at target, that's all done with. So you've got to stay on the ball. I'm not complaining about this when I say I have to be on it 100% to get the results I get. And I'm quite happy with that. I'm comfortable with the way I eat. But I do have to be on it, because if I decide to take a day or half a day or a couple of days off, that's going to happen to me. I'm going to get a £3 gain. I met a lady today who I met previously in February when she was at Target. She'd been at Target about a month, and she didn't come back. She got there, she'd done it. She was amazing, brilliant lady, lovely woman, very positive, very much loving this lifestyle. And then she let it slip, and she came back 1.5 stone heavier. I'm not criticising her, because that would be me. Only I could do it in a lot less than February to now. I could do that in a month. I know I could. I'm a realist. I know how easily I can gain weight. I was reading an article, or listening to an article this week about middle-age spread. And I think those of us who are older will recognise that phrase from our youth, probably. We always used to talk about middle-age spread. And it said in this article that once you pass the age of 40, even if you never had a weight problem, because of the hormone changes and lifestyle changes, we tend to gain on average 1.5 pounds a year. I wish. Right, okay, gain 1.5 pounds a year for the next 20 years until you're 60. And they were talking about retiring at 60, which is what we used to do. Not many people can now. But gain 1.5 pounds a year for those 20 years and you're all of a sudden 2 stone overweight. That is what we used to refer to as middle-age spread. And it's just an eye-opener that somebody who's never had a weight problem can do that. For me, and I only talk about me, I'm not judging anybody else, I know that if I started to relax on this plan, and again I'm not complaining because I love the way I'm living today, but if I started to relax on this plan and think, oh, it doesn't matter, I can just have, or oh, I'll have another, or you know how you do, that box of chocolates is open, I'll have 3 or 4, I know that without exaggerating, this weight would flood back. So I'm grateful today that I do enjoy this plan so much that I want to live like this. And it was just a reminder when this lovely lady came back with 1.5 stone gain, because she loves this plan too, but she'd started to relax a wee bit too much. And I do see it, and I get a lot of contact from different people by email and stuff, and we do share with each other. This is not an easy journey. It's a simple journey, but it's never going to be an easy journey. 2 or 3 weeks ago on my comment section, I had a lady ask me, would you, Jane, have just fruit for your lunch? You know, would that work for you? And I think what the lady was hoping for was maybe for me to say, yeah, I would, and it's a good idea and this is why I would. And I actually said no, categorically no. And I've since talked more to Jo about this kind of issue and trying to understand why, if I had 3 or 4 pieces of fruit for a meal, why it doesn't fill me. I know that if I do that, that within 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours, I'm hungry. And once I'm hungry, my mind is obsessed with food. And that's why I don't allow myself to get hungry. I just have my 3 big meals a day and nothing in between. I don't play games with food anymore like I used to. I'm not saying that that's the right prescription for everybody. If your lifestyle is different to mine, 3 meals a day might not work for you, but it works for me and where I'm at. So I'm going to ask Jo in a moment to explain this issue over fruit with us. But I'm also going to share with you the size of my breakfast, because we were looking at my breakfast this week. I've shared for a while that I've been trying to move away from Muller Lights, not because there's anything wrong with them, not saying people shouldn't eat them, not criticising Slimming World for, you know, bringing them to us on this plan. But for me, they're too sweet now. I really do not have a sweet tooth anymore. And if a meal just tastes sweet, it doesn't do it for me. I'm looking for other flavours. So what Jo had persuaded me to do was to take the Muller Light out of my breakfast and replace it with organic, low-fat, natural yoghurt from Sainsbury's. Now, we were fascinated because I have 250 grams of quark, 165 grams of Sainsbury's organic, low-fat natural yoghurt, not fat-free, low-fat, 2 Weetabix crumbled into it, and 40 grams of blueberries. So this meal, this breakfast pot, weighs 495 grams, which is a big breakfast. And what I'm learning now is if I eat it with a latte spoon, which is smaller than a dessert spoon, it actually takes me quite a while to eat it, and by the end of it I am really full. Now the curious thing, and why I'm mentioning this, was if I put a Muller Light in, which has lots of added sweetness and sugars, it's free, because Muller Lights are free. and a Muller Lite is 99 calories. If I put 165 grams, so it's about the same size, same amount of low-fat, natural, organic yoghurt in, it's 1.5 sins, but it's actually 2 calories less than a Muller Lite. So for me, I see the way that Slimming World count fat above sugar. And one of the things Joe's been trying to teach me for a long, long time is, Mum, it isn't sugar that makes it. I can get it wrong now, Joe. It isn't fat that makes you fat, it's sugar and your dependency on sugar. So we're really focusing this week and next week on moving away from added sugars. Like every food, fruit, vegetable, whatever, carbohydrate, whatever you want to be eating, yogurts, milk, everything, dairy, has sugar in it. Not refined white sugar as we see it in the sugar bowl, but natural sugars. What I'm trying to move away from is added sugars. So for me, things like Muller Lights, baked beans with added sugars and that sort of thing, just as an experiment on myself. So it's self-experimentation to see if, because I haven't got this sweet tooth anymore, it actually works better for me to be using my sins on fats, healthy fats, rather than sugars. And one of the things we did swap out this week was I've used some of my sins for cooking with ghee, and I really enjoyed the taste and what it's added to my food. So yeah, my sins were up to 11 and some of those were spent on healthy fats. I would rather spend sins on avocado than cake. Personal preference. As I say, from somebody who had an extremely sweet tooth, I don't anymore. And if I pick something up and put it in my mouth and all I can taste is sweetness, I don't enjoy it anymore. So that's some of the changes I've been making personally. I'm going to ask Joe to explain about the fruit issue and why I don't eat just fruit for a meal. I will say first though, that's not food optimising. If you want to follow Slimming World and you're a bit like me, I'm an all or nothing person, if you're going to have just fruit for a meal, that's not Slimming World. Because that's not SP, half speed, half protein, and that's not food optimising because you haven't got the 3 food groups. It's just, well, fruit, carbohydrate. So can you explain, Joe, because I'm not very good at this, why that's not a good idea for me and I get hungry again very quickly?
Because of the sugars in fruit, when you eat anything sweet, it doesn't have to be fruit. Anything sweet any carbohydrate will turn into glucose, and when glucose enters your bloodstream, your bloodstream can only hold about 5 grams of sugar.
And glucose is a toxin, isn't it, to your blood?
Well, too much sugar in your blood is toxic.
Yeah.
So your body releases insulin, your pancreas releases insulin to lower your blood sugar, but it almost does a bit too good of a job and will lower your blood sugar a bit too much, and then you'll end up with like cravings for more sugar to restabilise your blood sugar levels.
So that's the ups and downs.
That's the ups and downs. And I'm not saying that fruit's bad. What I'm saying is that like fruit is the. I don't want to come across as being like a fruit. I don't know.
Knocker.
Yeah, a fruit knocker. Yeah, but it's just like fruit's like a kind of quick energy source. Like sugars are going to be burnt off the quickest out of any of the macronutrients, and so.
But isn't the problem that if you take on board too much sugar, your body can't? If you take on board too much sugar and you're not burning it off, then your body's got to store it somewhere. And if you're not using it like for activity while it's in your bloodstream, it's going to be stored either in your liver or in your muscles as glycogen. And if they're like your energy warehouses, and if both those stockpiles are full, then it'll just put it into fat cells. So in effect, if you're taking in too much sugar and not using it as fuel in your active daily life or by exercising, once your stores in your liver and what was the other thing you said?
Your muscles.
Your muscles. Anything over and above what they can store immediately goes into fat cells.
Spills over into
Spills
fat.
over and is stored in fat cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is sugar, is broken down. You eat a piece of fruit, right? The sugars in it, well, all of the carbohydrates in it will turn into, the glucose in it will go into your bloodstream, right? Which will stimulate your pancreas. Sorry, I'm messing up your entire video just by
No, it's okay.
mumbling and stumbling. I can explain this, but it's just because it's on camera. Like, you eat sugars, your blood sugar goes up, your pancreas releases insulin to lower your blood sugar because it's toxic, and then you end up with it either stored in your liver or your muscles, and if both of those stores are full, it will go into your fat cells for later use, because that's all
what the fuel does.
Yeah. It's just
but when we're
later
talking
use.
about sugar, we're talking about fruit here and turning it into glucose and that. This same rule applies to carbohydrates and refined carbohydrates.
Yeah, but
so
it's just at different rates that it breaks down.
But the same rule applies to eating bread, eating pasta, eating... It's nothing to be scared of. It's just...
the same thing happens when you eat a sweet potato, but the difference is,
it's
sweet
the rate.
potato's...
It burns off that.
Yeah, it's... Because carbohydrates are just chains of glucose.
Yeah. But I think one of the points I want to bring out of this is that this is why,
so a complex carbohydrate, like sweet potato, it's got longer chains of sugar molecules, so it breaks down, it's broken down slower by your body and gets released into your bloodstream slower. Yeah, whereas something that's high in sugars
gets released too quickly.
Gets released too quickly, especially if it comes in the form of I don't know, say something with no fibre. That's why fruit's alright, because it's locked in fibrous cells that your body has to work to break down.
But the beauty
but
of
it's still
Slimming
fairly
World...
quickly digesting.
Yeah. But the beauty of Slimming World and food optimising, so the extra easy plan, is that we've got a balance between all of these things, between proteins, between fats, between sugars and everything. So we're not injecting massive amounts of sugars, or shouldn't be, in one go.
Yeah, because both protein and fat slow down the absorption rate of carbohydrate.
Yeah. So the beauty of food optimising works to protect us against the sugar rushes and things, which is why if you replace a food optimised meal with just fruit, you're actually changing the way Slimming World works, because you're not strictly adhering to Extra Easy or SP. And it's also why I believe on SP we cut out all of the higher sugar fruits, because we cut out the bananas, the blueberries, the cherries, the pineapple, all of those things that are free. We're not eating those on an SP day, are we? We're sticking to the lower sugar fruits. So anyway, all of this is just to explain why I'm doing it. It's not to tell anybody else to do it, but I'm trying to cut down on added sugars, and I would not eat just fruit for a meal, because it would have exactly the effect on me that Joe's just explained. If I wasn't doing anything to burn off that glucose, it would store it as fat ultimately. And I don't want to go down that road. So that's why I choose to food optimise. And when I'm doing SP, which is very, very rare for me, because I tend to only do the odd SP meal, I don't really see the point of SP, to be honest, because I did it on the weight loss journey in limited amounts. But the weight I would lose doing SP 1 week, I would put back on the following week doing EE. I'd rather keep a balance and just continue to do EE. And the odd SP meal is inevitable, because you may put carrot chips instead of potato chips with the chicken dinner, and you've already automatically got an SP meal rather than an EE meal. But what I wouldn't do, me personally, I would not replace a whole meal with just fruit and then expect a weight loss at the end of the week, because that wouldn't work for me.
What I'm trying to do really is just have a stable blood sugar level throughout the day.
Yeah.
So you don't feel hungry, so you don't feel tired and lethargic. You just feel like you've got a constant stream of moderate energy rather than the highs and lows that can be.
And that works for me, having 3 good meals a day that are balanced in a way that I don't get the sugar rushes. So one of the things I'm looking at this week is changing Healthy Extra B. Now, this isn't strictly Slimming World after all that I've said, but I'm going to explain why I'm doing it. One of the things Joe uses is this coconut flour. Coconut flour is not like wheat flour. You don't have to cook it. You can eat it as it is. It's just raw coconut. This is organic. It's 4.5 sins for 25 grams. It's 40% fibre. So if I have 25 grams of this, I'm getting 10 grams of fibre, which is high for a Healthy Extra B choice. It isn't strictly a Healthy Extra B choice. I'm just telling you that I'm going to do this, and I'm telling you why I'm going to do this. Because I want to get away from relying on Weetabix, which is something I've been doing for quite a long time. And I just fancy a change. And I've been looking at what I can put in my breakfast instead of Weetabix. I don't like wheat bran, is it called?
Yeah, wheat bran, yeah.
I don't like that at all. I did...
So it was like sawdust.
I said cat litter.
Oh, no.
I said, well, first time I had it, I said it was like sawdust. The second time I had it, I said it was like cat litter, and it went in the bin. I know some people love it, and some people cook muffins and things with it. I don't cook sweet things like that, so I don't need it for anything like that. But to actually add it to my yoghurt, I really didn't like it. I do eat porridge oats occasionally, but the porridge oats that we have are sprouted ones. Very nice, but again, not my favourite thing. But I did try this coconut flour in my yoghurt and I loved it. So what I've decided to do this week is change out my Weetabix for 25 grams of coconut flour. I don't think it's going to make much more difference than it's got a lot more fibre in than Weetabix. If you take, as an example, a 200 gram sweet potato has got 6.4 grams of fibre. 25 grams of this has got 10 grams of fibre. I'm just working on that principle. I'm not telling anybody else you should do this. Please don't take it as advice. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do to see what result I get next week. I fancied a change from Weetabix. I'm not one for like commercially bought cereals and things. They're too sweet for my taste. So it was just a good choice. I've seen Joe eating it for quite a while and thought I'd like to give it a go. So there's a confession. I'm kind of breaking the rules, but hey ho, I'm at Target. If I can't experiment on myself, what can I do? So I'm looking forward to going forward. I hope you understood where we were coming from about the sugar issues and the glucose and why I'm trying to move away from added sugars. This is my personal journey. It's not advice to anybody else who's on a weight loss journey. Once you get to Target, you do have to find different ways of managing it, and that's when I think this diet comes into its own uniqueness, shall we say, because we all have different lifestyles, we all have different tastes in food, and while I want to stay within plan, I might need to tweak it in that way to keep on the healthier side of it for me, because I'm moving away from sugar. I'm not talking about clean eating. I don't do clean eating. I don't have a big enough understanding of what that even means. I'm just telling you what I've done this week and what I'm going to do next week. I'm really looking forward to trying that. I'm going to go and have my breakfast now because it's lunchtime and I haven't had breakfast yet because I've been at group all morning. Had a brilliant week. Life has its usual stresses, but I'm not eating over them. I'm loving this lifestyle and I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. And, you know, it doesn't bore me, so I just hope it doesn't bore you. Have a great week on plan and we will see you next Saturday. But for me, it's important to remember, works if I work it, won't if I don't. Have a good one. Cheers.